What is so incredible is I was introduced to all of these matchmakers from one matchmaker. So Denise Levy in Florida contacted me on Labor Day weekend. And just this Labor Day weekend. And suddenly, because of Denise, I have met all these other fabulous matchmakers, and I honestly did not realize that this was such a thriving field and that this is really the smart way to find a partner. It is no longer necessary to drive yourself crazy and stay up until 2 in the morning, searching through all of, all those dating sites. Because to find somebody really fabulous, think about having a matchmaker who goes through everybody that's out there, through their friends, through their own listings, who listens to you, asks you, and then comes up with potential candidates. It's a whole different world. It's like way, way up here compared to all the struggle down in the trenches.
That's fascinating, very helpful. So explain to us, please, how the online dating process is different from working with a matchmaker.
Okay, and this is really interesting. I honestly thought that everybody knew. And when I had my hair done today, and it's my dear friend who does my hair, she was surprised she had never heard of people using matchmakers. Interesting. So we're in Santa Barbara. So in New York and other big cities, of course, people know what this is. So a matchmaker is a professional who has a list and creates an ongoing list of men and women and interviews them first and doesn't accept everybody. So you have to really make sure you've got your act together. They will do a background search and all that. They'll do criminal record search. So you want to be sure you're really telling the matchmaker the truth. If you weren't telling the truth online, because on online dating, a lot of people are going to exaggerate about a lot of things. In matchmaking, it's different. You do need to tell the truth. And they will assess what somebody's looking for, what you say you're looking for, what you talk about in terms of your experience. They do the same kind of intake that I do when I'm talking to someone about having them become a client in any area of relationship transformation. So in dating, it's the same thing. Now, if you are used to online dating, the worst part of online dating is, let's say you join Match.com. You're going to get an email every week with the most horrendous potential matches because it's an algorithm that has nothing to do with who you are. It just doesn't take into consideration your interests and your needs. Because if somebody says, I play tennis, and you play tennis, and I'm looking for somebody 50 years old, and you're 50 years old, that's it. You may have, a lot of very specific requirements that the algorithm on an online dating site doesn't take into consideration. And when you open those emails, and I tell my clients, don't even look there. 2 seconds. Don't let yourself get upset. Just look for 2 seconds. Maybe by chance, there's somebody who doesn't make you crazy. All right, but 90% of the time, that's not how to find somebody. Online dating, you find people by spending hours and hours and hours checking your online messages, checking who's winked at you. And I say, don't even bother with that. I say, just look at the people you might want to date. But that's very time consuming. Matchmaking is the way to avoid all of that.
Boy, I really have witnessed people spend many, many hours frantically, desperately looking for a match.
It's like looking for a job. I mean, it's that kind of time and energy and effort. And then if you're a woman and you have to pull yourself together to go on every date, every time you meet somebody for lunch or a cup of coffee or a drink, if you have your hair done, as I always do for those things when I was younger, and you get yourself all dressed up and you go drive somewhere, and that's a lot of time and energy. A matchmaker can save you 90% of that time and effort.
Oh, right there, that's a great sell.
That's a great savings too when you think about it. I'd rather pay a matchmaker to pre-digest the candidates.
Well, okay, I know that you've met maybe 7 different matchmakers, and would you be willing to tell us about them?
Yes, Actually, I'm going to tell you just about a few of them tonight because this is the first of a series that Gigi and I are doing, because as I have more to tell you about these matchmakers, I'll have more, and this is only a 1-hour show. So let me tell you, first of all, I want to tell you about Denise. So Denise Levy, who is at Matchmaker Gulf Coast, which is missmatchmaker.net, and she is the person who found me. So I am really indebted to you, Denise. I know you're going to be watching. And she does matchmaking for men and women. She's not just based in Florida. You can register on her website, even if you're not going to have her specifically work for you and do the in-depth search. Though I strongly urge you, with these 4 people I'm mentioning tonight, the one that is appropriate for you, or more than one, I would say, call me. I'll introduce you to them personally and see who they have for you. Because the joy of this is they already have fabulous men and women who they're looking to match. Fantastic. Okay, the second is Marla Martinson. And Marla is like the Beverly Hills matchmaker, but she's a very elegant woman, Marla. So it's different from that, that show. And Marla has millionaires and multimillionaires. And one of my dear friends is going on her first date with one of Marla's clients on Thursday. And my dear friend is lovely and beautiful and smart and sweet and just a terrific human being. And she has a date with a guy who sounds absolutely fabulous, really fabulous, and thank you in advance, Marla. So if you're a multimillionaire or millionaire, fit into that category, Marla is the only person for you, because these different matchmakers handle different categories. Then I had a great conversation with May Wee, and that's May and then Hui. She's the co-founder of Catch Matchmaking. They have 2 different businesses, and so they do executives in the LA area, but she attended UCSB, so she has people in Santa Barbara as well, as does Marla, by the way. And so May and her partner have this real focus on business people, which I love, because I was an executive for a long time. And May really gets it, that you don't have a lot of time, you want somebody who's intelligent, successful, has a career, you have a career, you want to build a life around, usually a 2-career family. So for that, and again, in the Los Angeles, Santa Barbara, Southern California area, May and her partner are perfect. And so again, speak to me and I'll make an introduction to May for you. And then the 4th is Jessica Fass from Fass Pass Matchmaking, Fass, and she is a strictly Jewish matchmaker. She handles America and Israel. So that's a really interesting thing. And by the way, May and her partner are Asian, so they're Chinese, and so they also have a separate division for Asian matchmaking, which is very, very important too. So we've got all this across the country. We've got different categories. We've got different financial backgrounds. We've got different ethnic and a religious category. So whatever you're looking for, among these 4 and the other 3 that I've met so far, I think you're going to be very, very happy.
Oh, that's fascinating. Wonderful. What
It's
a
amazing,
time
isn't it?
saver. Yeah.
Only because Denise got in touch with me Labor Day weekend. That's like a few minutes ago, practically,
That's right.
And I've been doing what I do for all these years. I've been doing this for 17 years. And so thank you, Denise. And it proves that reaching out to people can really make a huge difference.
Wonderful. Well, she got the right person. Now, can you describe for us the different categories and regions that they handle?
Well, I just kind of did. I just kind of did all that. But the most important thing to understand is it's like a sorority. So all of these matchmakers are connected to each other. Now I'm connected to all of them. They're also connected to these other 3 matchmakers that I haven't had a chance to speak to yet. And I will be connected to all of them. Then there's another guy in Miami. He's one of the 7. I haven't spoken to him yet. There's a woman who's in Orange County who I haven't spoken to yet. There's another group, two sisters in LA, I haven't spoken to yet. And then there's somebody in New York, so that's actually 8 that I haven't spoken to yet. So if you have a category that we haven't referenced, call me and I will get one of these wonderful women to speak to you and let you know where to go.
Wonderful. Well, you're the connection right there, Susan. That's wonderful.
Right.
Thank you for your energy in that. And how do men and women actually benefit in different ways from matchmakers?
Well, you just don't have to waste any more time. Like I got an email from a friend who I just introduced to one of the matchmakers. And so he's getting registered. And he said, well, I don't have trouble meeting women. Okay, he's been a widower for so long that I've been friendly with him for 17 years. I didn't ever know he was married. So that's how long he's been a widower, right? So he doesn't have any trouble finding women, but he obviously hasn't found a woman in all those years who meets enough of his needs. And they're there, they're out there. There are countless wonderful, fabulous, in his case, sophisticated, elegant, well-dressed, well-groomed, intelligent women who would be thrilled to go out with him, and vice versa. So it isn't that you can't meet them, and certainly you can find them on Match, but you can find them on, Plenty of Fish, you can find them on all the different websites. But if you haven't found your partner yet, my attitude is stop wasting time. This is perfect time to do it.
There you go. Well, tell us about the key qualifications that some of the matchmakers require from men.
So if you're a man or a woman, you have to be divorced. And you have to be ready to start dating. That's up to you, right? You have to be ready to start dating. You have to be practical and rational. You don't want to say that you're looking for Marilyn Monroe and you won't settle for anybody less if you're a guy, right? And you want to be, practical and rational about the partner you're looking for too. If you say that you're 70 and you're looking for a 25-year-old, there's not going to be that many that you're going to be able to find. Or if you're, in some very small town somewhere, it's going to be difficult for them to find a lot of people for you. It makes sense for you to say, and I'm happy to travel to meet a fabulous woman or fabulous women. So you just have to be somebody who's excited to meet wonderful women who are a great potential match for you on paper, so that you can then assess in person if the chemistry's there and if the chemistry's mutual. And then, of course, if you're dealing with a matchmaker like Marla, you have to fit into the financial background. You have to be a very, very successful guy who either is still a very powerful guy in the world in some area of business or finance, or you have to have been, and maybe now you're retired or semi-retired. So that's a very strong qualification for Marla.
Good information. And so what are the different qualities needed to be a woman who is listed with a matchmaker?
Well, you know how Gigi and I talk about how we're not interested anymore? That's good, because the cutoff age for Marla, it's 45. So as a woman, well, I know that, you know that, because we were in our 30s and 40s when we were dating men who were, multimillionaires. So it's not surprising. And if you are with other matchmakers, then you can be in your 50s. But nobody that I know has a seniors dating matchmaking business. But I think they really should. I think there's an enormous amount of money that could be made. And I think there's a lot of people. After all, Gigi and I are baby boomers. And we meet a lot of men who don't have partners and would love to have partners. And how do we know that? Because they come up to us and they want us to be the partner. So I would suggest, if you're one of the matchmakers who I know is going to watch this, because I'm going to send you the link, then I was like, think about this. Maybe that's another category. But if you're watching to go to one of the matchmakers and become a client, so really the typical cutoff age for men is, about 60-ish, because, that's when you are most eager to have a great relationship and make it happen and, do what you have to do to make it happen. You haven't gotten to that hopeless state yet, So, 60-ish. And for women, depending, you have to be either 45 or less if you're going to Marla Martenson, or you can be in your 50s if you're in great shape. But here's the thing. Many years ago, I made this joke, and I quoted The Man Show, and it's true. Somebody on The Man Show said, let's face it, if a woman really wants a guy, she has to only do one thing. And it was a comedy show, The Man Show. She just has to be thin. And that is still true. So if you're listening to me, I'm telling you this. Don't be offended. I'm just telling you this because I want you to understand. Yes, there are men who like big women. What percentage? I've worked with so many women who are on the verge of divorce. And they call me and they work with me because they want reconciliation. And they've been with this man for a long time and they love him and ostensibly he loves them. And they keep fighting. And one of the things they usually fight with, if the woman is in her postmenopausal 50s, 60s or older, is the husband is going to fight with her because he wants her to be the thinner, sexier woman she used to be. Even if she's old, this is a common denominator. So that means it's hardwired in men. So please, let me be the one to tell you, don't make my friends who are matchmakers be tough on you. You've heard it first here.
Yes.
And Gigi's so thin, so she already knows this.
That's another story. Well, all right. I appreciate your honesty, Susan. Really, you put it out there. Now, how important is it really to be able to ask matchmakers for what you want if you are a guy who, as you said, are the actual clients?
Yeah. Right? It's your dime. So you have to be clear about this. Don't force the matchmaker to guess if you really like brunettes or you really like redheads or you really like blondes. Now, is it possible for any woman to change her hair color? Of course. If you really love golf and you want to play golf and you want to play golf with your best friend and his wife, then does it make sense to leave that off of your wish list? Of course not. If you don't care and you're part of a foursome and it doesn't matter to you, and you're perfectly happy to have your wife, who you haven't met yet, meet you at the club for dinner on Saturday, that's fine. It's not an issue. Or if you're somebody whose whole life is about, stand-up paddleboarding or surfing or any of these things, you have to say it because the matchmaker's job, if you're the client, not if you're just on their listings, but if you're the client, their job is to find you a match who you're going to have as a life partner and you're going to be thrilled with each other. So it's not being impossible, not being outrageous, and focusing on the things that really are important to you. For example, if you're a guy and you know that you want to have another child or children, then you have to make sure that you're going to be with a woman who's A, young enough to have a child or children, and is excited about it. Because you might meet somebody who's in her 30s who's absolutely unwilling. And you want to be very clear, are you excited about a child or children from the woman's previous relationship or marriage, or not? So some people love it, they want a big family, and this is the way to have a big family. All of these things you have to search your heart. And I do offer 1 free hour, and a lot of people don't know what they're looking for, they have no idea. And if you talk to me about it in your free session, you're not muddying the water with a matchmaker. Since you're calling me anyway to have me figure out, with you who the right matchmaker is, let's talk about it. So being very clear about what you want that's crucial and ignoring the things that are just unimportant and silly.
That's wonderfully put, Susan. Absolutely. You can help them with their homework and really get in touch to what matters and would make their life enriched.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Now, how about this question? Once a man speaks to a matchmaker, what then can he expect?
Well, this is the fun part. Depending on which matchmaker and depending on what arrangements you make with the matchmaker, you're going to start having opportunities. So if you become a client who pays for the services of a matchmaker, any of these 4 matchmakers will tell you exactly how many dates they will get you in what period of time, and you'll make your arrangements according to that. And one of my clients just became a client with Jessica Fass of Fast Pass Matchmaking, and really, really exciting. And so he knows exactly what the arrangement is with Jessica. And I know that she's in New York right this minute, and I'm sure she has already put out the feelers for exactly what this particular guy wants. He has very specific needs, not easy, but I know that Jessica will find the woman for him. She'll probably find a bunch of women because he's a great guy. He's a really, really great guy.
How fun.
Yeah, it is. And so the minute you make your arrangement, these matchmakers are off and running. It's like a headhunter of any kind of a headhunter. That's what they are. They're dating headhunters, relationship headhunters, marriage headhunters.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, what if a woman really wants to be accepted into the matchmakers list? What is the most important points for her to remember?
Well, it's very interesting. When I was talking to my friend who's going on this date on Thursday, I said, now remember, when you're on this date, there are 3 of you at the table. You're at the table, this man is at the table, and Marla Martenson is at the table too. That's the matchmaker. Even though she's not physically present, you know that she's going to get a report from this man. Now, whether you are the woman he's been dreaming of his whole life or not is almost less important than the fact that he has a good time, he enjoys being with you, because that's going to motivate Marla to fix you up with somebody else if this man isn't your perfect match. I said, now also think that I'm at the table too. It's really like a table for 4. I'm at the table because I'm whispering into your ear how to be fascinating and how to be interested and how to listen and how to finesse for information in a charming way and how to be really upbeat and fun and how to be, just so captivated. This is a very interesting guy anyway. So I had to be captivated by everything that he tells her about his business and his career, and that's the drill. Then, of course, we talked about what she's going to wear, and I said, now, this is a guy who's a multimillionaire, so a black dress and pearls and heels is what you wear. That's what you wear on a date with him. You don't wear some other thing. So let's talk about what black dresses you have, and we talked about that. And I said, now it has to be elegant, because she's not 28 years old, she's not 30 years old, she's 45, so she has to look like an elegant, lovely young woman who is the perfect person that he would want to have as the hostess at his dinner parties. Somebody that he would be proud to be seen with. And that's crucial. If you're looking for very affluent men, then you know that you have to have your hair done, your makeup has to be perfect, you have to look lovely, you have to, no costume jewelry, real stuff, pearls preferably, no fun shoes. This is the time to wear beautiful black pumps, elegant handbag, have your nails done, the whole deal.